The Supreme Court judgment means that President Hage Geingob, who obtained 56% of the vote, remains president-elect. In his ruling, Judge Shivute says the applicants could not prove that there was rampant irregularities and whether the malfunctioning of the machine denied the voters the right to vote. Chief Justice Shivute also stated that the ECN administered the elections on a High Court judgment that elections could take place without a verifiable paper trail. However, the highest court ordered that the use of electronic voting machines without a verifiable paper trail in elections after the 21st of March is unconstitutional.
The applicants sat back at their peril in waiting until the very eve of the election before taking up this issue, a mere month before the holding of the elections. We think that although the applicants have not succeeded in setting aside the presidential election, they have vindicated their position concerning the invalidity of the minister's determination. They have thus been partially successful in these proceedings. We also take into account that the minister in his determination failed in his duty to act in accordance with the fundamental constitutional principle of separation of powers, and that the applicants were vindicated in asserting this fundamental constitutional principle.
South African lawyer Jeremy Gauntlet, who represented Dr. Itula and others, stated the main argument of their submission was to justify that fundamental rights of the voters were abused and that the results of elections on EVMs that had no verifiable paper trail, as per Section 97 of the Electoral Act of 2014, could not be seen as fair and credible. Applicants thus asked the Constitutional Court to set aside the adoption of the EVMs without a verifiable paper trail for non-compliance with the provisions of the Act. However, lawyers representing the respondents wanted the Supreme Court to dismiss the case and refer it back to a law or High Court. The lawyers argued that the Supreme Court has no jurisdiction to hear the matter, a submission the court dismissed. Respondent's lawyer, William Mokari, also argued that a prayer to set aside the 2019 presidential election results would have dire consequences, while also defending that the ECN's conduct of the elections without a paper trail, which he said was within the parameters of the law. However, in his judgment, Chief Justice Shivute ruled that the paper trail was paramount in increasing the citizens' trust in the elections and upholding the constitutional rights of citizenry. Shivute also stated in his ruling that the determination by the minister that the provision of Section 97 of the Act were brought into force with the exemption of Section 97, subsection 3 and 4 is in conflict with the Constitution and is invalid and a violation of the separation of powers as enshrined in the rule of law. ECN and government were ordered to pay 2/3 of Itula's legal costs. I'm Daniel Nadung, NBC News, Windhoek.